Hi, and welcome to Gen Friends. I'm Sherry Hudson Passy, your host. I'm from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and I am so grateful to be here tonight. And my very special guest on the panel tonight is Mary Kircher-Roddy from MKR Genealogy. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Sherry. So nice to be here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm so glad you're here because we are both relative race fans. Oh, are we relative race fans? And then we're also going to talk about long lost family. So we better get started.
Okay.
And we are at day 6 of relative race.
Yeah.
We are getting there. Yeah.
More than halfway through now, and they were able to take a strike hiatus for a couple of weeks, but now they're back on track, and so people are going to be getting strikes, and it
Yes.
changes the ball game.
It sure changes when you know that you've got that chance to have to go home. Well, I thought maybe we'd start with let's get the more emotional one out of the way first, the green team. Oh, green team. Oh my goodness. Precious is just really step by step getting to know her family.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
So she met her first cousin on her father's side, and she knew nothing about her father.
Mhm.
And oh, it was just incredible, the pictures that he had to show her, and talked about them trick-or-treating together when they
Yeah.
were little.
Yeah.
And
And her first picture, she'd never seen his picture before.
yeah.
And his handwriting was on
Yes.
some of those photos. So just just amazing. I
Yeah.
am loving the season that they're spending more time with their relatives and we're learning a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, the competitions, are fun and they're great. I love those because we learn a little bit more about their
Yeah.
personalities, and
Yeah.
that's really fun. But the fact that they're getting to spend a little bit more time and we're connecting a little bit more is just fabulous. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they found her father. I'm hoping that maybe, I don't know, maybe day
Yeah.
7 will be the day that, because they did tell her that he was still alive.
How was the part I there's obviously a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor that we didn't
Mhm.
see. But man, when he said, "Your father's my uncle," or my dad's
Yeah.
your uncle, or whatever it was he said, I mean, the first words out of my mouth would have been, "Is my father still alive?"
Yeah.
I just and so she must have asked that, but there's something going on that they don't want to share that with us at this point
That's
in
that's what
the
I'm
journey.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking too. And I always watch and see, what's coming up next week. And she's just crying and saying, I was too late. And I said to my husband, because we're watching it, I said, I sure hope she's talking about her mom because I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
anything in this amount, to have happened to her dad while they're racing or something,
yeah, right, right.
Oh, that would have been terrible. So yeah, I'm just loving the fact that, and the very fact that they've all said, we were looking for you. We all knew about you. We all cared and wondered. And you don't find that very much in her kind of situation.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you just don't
right.
hear those stories. And so,
And the
um,
picture of her and her brother that their dad had written on my
mhm,
motivations. I mean, that was just,
yes. So it'll be interesting to hear his story and see what happened and why
yeah,
they couldn't go back to him.
yeah,
I mean, the whole thing is just really sad. And I hope that her family that took her in and adopted her, I hope things are okay there. She hasn't really talked a lot about her adoptive family, and so I hope
yeah,
I hope things were good for her. I mean, I'm sure every child that's been adopted wants to know, wants those connections and wants answers. And
yeah,
so, just watching her put those pieces of the puzzle together, it's so emotional, and I'm just so happy that she's been able to do that.
yeah,
So.
yeah,
Well, we really didn't. We kind of skipped, but that was my fault. But the whole challenge thing was again, once again, another challenge that I would like to do
yeah. I know it
at
really
a
looked like fun.
at a family reunion, and they had to put those headsets on that were
Yeah,
playing just loud noise, and
yeah,
then the other team member had to read a phrase, and then they had to read their lips. I just don't
Yeah.
know that.
I
I
wonder
don't know if I could
because
do that.
sometimes they have done pantomime kind of stuff, and maybe they were instructed that they couldn't do pantomime because that
Yeah.
the first one was about unicorns. I didn't, and I mean, I would have immediately like this, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the phrases they were using, it's not like they were phrases that people were gonna. What was it? I think. Oh, what was it? What was it about the unicorn? Oh, unicorns are bright and scary. I mean, who so that it wasn't even like a phrase. And then there was one about something about I burned my keys and ate them like chocolate. I mean, something weird
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
yeah.
who came up with these things? I mean,
Yeah. But
maybe they
some were
figured,
there was one like, something about we have to put gas in the car or something like
yeah,
that, I think, yeah,
yeah. So
so
there were a few that were like that. It took them a while, but then they finally just started getting them done. I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
after a while. But what I thought was really cute is Mike on the red team, as he's repeating it, he's saying his words just like he was saying them back to her. It was really funny
Yeah.
as he got
It
into
was
that. I thought that was really cute.
it really looked like a fun challenge. That would be a fun game to play,
I think
so
so too. I keep saying, put a book together, relative race. Put a book together, relative
yeah.
race challenges. Good for
Yeah.
your family reunions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They need they need to do that. Um, so the red team. Speaking of Mike, he gets again. Well, they're both. It's except for she got to meet one that was on her mom's side, but usually, Mike gets to meet a
Right,
relative, and of
right.
course, and that's Austin's relative too. So his relative was uh, in the army,
A pilot,
a
a
pilot, a
Black
Black
Hawk,
Hawk, yeah, a
a
helicopter
helicopter pilot.
pilot. I'm thinking
Yeah,
that's Army.
it
I'm
is
thinking that's
Army.
Army.
They
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of
How cool is?
were,
Yeah.
dissing each other or talking trash a little bit
Yes.
about because Mike's
Yes. About.
Navy and the cousin
That's
is
right.
Army. So
That's right. How cool! And then they got to get in that
yeah,
helicopter.
I love
How
what the
fun is
cousin
that?
said. It's been scientifically proven that you look more handsome in a Black Hawk
Inside,
helicopter.
inside, exactly, exactly. So the same for him. He's putting the pieces together. And these were this relative and Mike's relatives were sisters. They were
Yeah,
their grandmothers and they were sisters.
and it was on Mike's mom's side, which is the
Mom's
first
side.
time that
Hmm.
we've seen that because everything else has been on
Yes,
Mike's
everything
dad's
is.
side. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool, and he knew some of the people. I mean, he knew his grandmother and his great aunt, um,
Hmm.
but he
Yeah,
didn't
and
know
just
the
so to
cousin.
see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
connection with the cousin was really
yeah,
cool. And they rolled out that big old long
yeah.
that tree. And you know what? That's the same pedigree chart style that they used, I think, last week or maybe the week before. So I'm wondering who's putting those together. Those are pretty cool that they produced for them. Those are really cool. I'd like to
Yeah,
know
yeah,
who did
yeah,
those. Yeah,
yeah.
those are really, really nice. I liked that. And I thought it was fun how they were sitting there looking at him and he was recognizing names,
Right, right.
and seeing how the family was fitting together. So that was a
Yeah.
fun
And the
relative for them
cousin's
to.
wife, what she had to say that, um, so Mike's cousin lost both of his parents recently, and I think she lost one parent. I forget if she
Yes,
lost
her dad. I
dad,
think it was her
but
dad.
that
Yeah.
they're really enjoying making the connections with other family members and learning
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
about their families. So that
Yeah, I
was really
loved that. I thought that was really great.
cool.
Just all these and I'm loving that the more they go on to the race, they really are just loving the connections. It
Yeah,
it becomes more, of course everybody wants to win. Of course they
yeah,
do. But it's becoming more about who am I going to meet.
yeah,
And speaking of that, Team Black, Joe said that. He says, if we get kicked off, if we get another strike, what I'm going to miss is being able to go to the next relatives
yeah,
and meeting them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Team Black starts off in a crazy way this week. What are you doing? I've got kids their age. I'm like, the mom in me is going, stop, get out of the car wash. You're
I know.
wasting time. You're on the clock.
Well, and um, they didn't have to go very far. They had like a 2-hour drive. So they don't
True.
know that, but they've got a map in front of them that, that's going to tell you it's 100 miles. You know you're going to have time at the end of the day, and then he
Yeah.
can't stand to not have a clean car.
Clean car. I know. I know. Craziness. But once again, he's still in South Carolina. Like, woo, we're still in South Carolina. So they're going to Anderson, South Carolina, and hysterical because they find two roads with the same name. And then they're driving down this road and he goes, "We're going into farm country. We're going, our relative is going to be a farmer. Oh no." Because he was afraid, because he'd been doing these animals with him. He was afraid he was going to have to milk a cow. And then they pull up to this house.
Yeah, he
That's
says like a castle. Yeah, no
definitely
cow.
not a farmhouse, definitely. And it's right there on the lake. Right there on the lake. So cousins again for them, and then they get to go. You know, they haven't been out much because they never had tubed. They never been. They've got to get out of the house. You got to quit just making movies and get out of the house. But and Joe says, "Are there sharks and jellyfish?" No, 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 no. Got to come
Like,
to the ocean. Come down to Myrtle Beach.
yeah.
We'll take care of you down there. I can show you sharks and jellyfish if you want to see them.
Well,
Oh,
and even what he said before they left the house in the morning. Yeah, we have this book. It's called something. It's called an atlas, but I don't. It's just a bunch of maps. I've never heard of one before. It's like, oh man.
so funny. They are the comic relief on the show.
Definitely. Yeah,
They are the comic relief, and you need that because you've got these intense stories. But that doesn't mean that their connections with their relatives aren't as strong, because they really are enjoying meeting these cousins and expanding their family and the bonds and it just they're just so funny. It just it just cracks me up.
They really make the show very entertaining and kind of cut some of the tears in it.
Because really, if all we were getting with all the stories was nothing but tears, it'd get so emotional. It'd be exhausting. It'd be exhausting to watch. So you need a little laughter going on. You really, really do. So I think it was a really fun episode, and I think they had a grand time out there, on that lake. So I think they all, Precious was an emotional one for her. Mike just had a fun connection, and then with the cousins, with Joe and Jerica, it's just fun.
Yeah.
So of course, then we get to the Skype call, which I love. I don't love anybody getting a strike, but I sure love the Skype call, and I just love the bonds that the teams are forging with each other. They really are supporting each other, and they really do seem to care. Yeah. They cry with each other. Dan cries with them. Everybody, we're crying. Everybody's crying, and they're supportive. They want the other teams to meet their relatives, and that's what I think is so cool. I really do. I mean, this edition that they've done the last couple of years, I think, has really been just a really great part of the show.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I really feel the changes that they've made. I feel like it's perfect now.
I love it. Yeah.
Because I've been saying for a while, more relatives, less race. And I really like having the more time with the family and really getting to see that.
I do too. I mean, the race part serves its purpose because we need to get to know them. We need to see their personalities. Right. That I don't think it would be quite as fun if it was just, okay, we found this person, and then they just, you know what I mean? The race part does put a great element into the show,
You're right.
So, but I think they've got a great balance now. I really do. I think there's a great balance between the fun of the race and the challenges and getting to know them and picking a team maybe to root for, which I still don't.
I just
Nope. I don't want anybody to. I don't want. I want all three teams to get to day 10. That's what I want.
All three teams to win.
That would be great. But you know what? If all three teams get to day 10, they've won because they get to meet all the relatives. Right. So in that sense, they've all won. I mean, that's easy to say when I'm not running the race and I'm not going to get the money anyway. But it's easy for me to say. You're like, wait a minute, we want the money too. So Dan's announcing, who comes in first place, and it's red team. 2 days in a row. Right. Ooh, they've won 2 days in a row.
And they didn't even need the game day benefit that they had yesterday to shave a few minutes off.
Nope, they didn't even need it, which is really kind of cool. And so they chose the day 10 benefit, which was information about their relatives. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Some things they knew, they said, and some things they didn't.
yeah.
And that's the interesting thing of it, because I had said before, I thought that there was some sort of um, athletic thing going
Mhm.
on. And when I looked at that, it looked kind of like the stats on the back of a baseball card. Um,
Exactly.
and so
Exactly. I
maybe,
think you may just have pinpointed that because I'm like, yeah, if you put these things together,
yeah.
that
And we've
kind of,
seen a, a few day 10 benefits, but several of them have taken the game day benefits. So
mhm,
we haven't gotten to see what those
what they all would have been.
missed day 10
Yeah.
ones were. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, green team has the most, and of course, no strikes. So that
Yeah.
makes you think, they've really got a step up when it comes to day 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how all that comes together.
If
Yeah.
they don't get a strike next
So,
week, then they're
oh
in.
gosh,
Yeah. They
they're in.
clinched.
They're in. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But unfortunately, black team got a second strike. I'm sad because, like I said, I want all three of them. I
Yeah.
want all three of them to get to day 10. I want to see who everybody gets to meet. I think that's part of it too. I hate it when the teams go home, but I really want to see who they're going to meet and how that all goes. So I'm really hoping. I'm hoping, and like Dan says, tomorrow's another day. So hopefully they'll be able to pull through and get through. But see, that's just wishing another strike on another team. But if it gets all three of them to day 10, then that's okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that's that's my philosophy. So if it gets them all three. So it was a great show, and I'm looking forward to day 7. So one more day. And with that, let's turn a few minutes over to Long Lost Family. So the second episode in this new season dealt with a woman named, make sure I get her name right, Raina, and then a man named Sean. So Raina was looking for her little brother who had been all the children in the family. That I think there was 3 of them, or were there 4 of them? They were taken away from their mom, and I think there was 3 of them. So the first older 2 was put into foster care, and this younger brother was given to a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead,
And
Mary.
well, and the the friend, I mean, they tried to retrieve this child from the friend, and the friend says, I gave it to somebody else. And they've been searching for 27
Yeah.
years to find this child. And we're not able to.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't even imagine as a mom, you've had these issues in your life. Your children are taken away from you. You work through the system and you're told you can have your children back. And then nobody knows where your youngest child is. I mean,
yeah.
just heartbreaking to go through all that work and then so many years for her,
Yeah. And
waiting.
having to live with that guilt and
Yeah.
whatever, to not
Yeah.
know what became of them,
Mhm.
and imagine the worst. And
Yeah. Well, they were able to find him through a DNA match.
but it was really interesting because um the brother was
Mhm.
basically abandoned in a hotel room. And so
And
they
he thought those were his biological parents that had abandoned him.
yeah, and they found him.
Yeah.
Someone found him. I think it was housekeeping in the hotel found him, and he wound up in the police, and then at the doctor. And the doctors, looked at his bones, x-rayed him, looked at his size, and basically said, you're about 8 months old or whatever it was, but your birthday is January 1st.
First. Yeah.
And that's what on all his records went, this
Mhm.
January 1st birthday. And so when the family was trying to find him, the information that they had was, they knew the real date when he was born,
Right.
and he didn't know what his
Right.
real date at all was.
So it
And
didn't
so it was
match.
hard
So
to
anything,
make
yeah,
that
you can't,
connection.
yeah, it was hard for them to find him because, the name change and the birth date change,
Right,
very, very
right.
difficult to try to find him.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
they found the DNA connection, and then Chris was talking to him, and when when Chris realized this is sort of a made up birthday that this guy has, and that there could be a possibility that he
Mhm.
could have been the one that they were looking for, that it
Right.
all came
Yeah.
together.
And his actual real birthday was written in some of the paperwork. And
Yeah.
so when he saw that, he said, "This actually is your correct birth date." So can you imagine that after all these years of, oh, that'd be weird because you always think of one day as your birthday and
Yeah.
then
No,
finding out
his
it's something else.
birthday twice a year.
Yeah, yeah. So he was able to go and meet his his biological mom and sister, which was so touching, and she just kept apologizing to him. And of course, he's saying there's nothing to apologize for. But I think one of the most touching things about this story is his adoptive parents and their support, and they were there and they wanted to meet his biological family, and they agreed to meet the
Yeah,
adoptive
yeah,
family. And he'd said to them, "It's okay, you'll always be my parents, I just need to know this story."
right.
Uh,
And
uh,
the adoptive parents were really supportive. And and it was interesting, the adoptive parents were of Cuban heritage,
mhm,
and the biological mother was of Cuban heritage, and
mhm,
she was really pleased when she found out that he'd been raised by Cubans. It was
mhm.
really meant something to
Yeah.
her. So
Yeah, because he still had his
that's
culture and,
culture.
all those kind of things that she would have wanted to have taught him. And,
Yeah.
and it just I just felt so bad for her because she thought her children were okay, and especially him taking she was probably all excited, at least he's not in the system. And
Yeah,
then come
yeah,
to
yeah,
find out, what really happened to him. So
yeah,
that was a good story. And
yeah,
then the other story was Sean, and Sean was looking for his biological mom. And so his story took quite an interesting turn because he had already discovered through DNA his biological grandparents
yeah.
and aunts and uncles and cousins. And when he went to visit them, he discovered they didn't know where his mother was because his mother had been adopted.
Yeah. And very secretly, they didn't even know his mother existed.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. His
yeah,
grandfather had had an affair and had his girlfriend had the baby, and she gave her up for adoption. And then later on, he married her. They didn't have any more children after that, but they didn't know where the baby went.
right.
And so, as Sean is discovering his biological mother is discovering who her family is. So that was an interesting kind of twofer on the.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, so and she was, yeah, her focus probably was, "Who is my son? What has become of my son?" And not, "Where did I come from?" But
Exactly.
she got both
Yeah.
sides of it.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that she said, I felt comfortable giving him up for adoption because I was adopted and everything was, I had a great family, and I knew this could work and it would be better for him. So she was comfortable, doing that, placing him for adoption. So they were all able to meet. So
Yeah.
he was able to talk to his biological mom, and then and then of course he breaks the news to her, and guess what? Guess who's here?
Yeah. You wanna
Your
meet 'em?
uncle. Yeah, your uncle. It was an uncle and aunt or cousin and what was it? Anyway, two people from her
It
family
was
were
like,
there.
was it
An aunt and
half brother maybe, and an
an
aunt.
aunt. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a half brother and an aunt.
Yeah.
And I don't know that because she didn't seem as excited when they told her to begin with that they'd found her family, and so I don't know. I hope they didn't just surprise that on her. I hope she was okay with it. I guess she could have
Yeah.
just said no. I don't want to go out there,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
they had him hidden out in the backyard of the meeting place, and so, yeah, it was kinda interesting, and, you had to wonder,
Mhm.
how did that go? What didn't we see? How has it gone since
Yeah,
then?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that was quite a connection, to find out that here he is trying to look for them, and then to find out that they don't know anything about his biological mom because she's been adopted. I mean, that what a story, to see that generational kind of thing, and then have it play out
Yeah.
through DNA that
And
they
it
could
was
find
really
her.
interesting for him. Um, he was really in a rush to do this because his biological grandmother was still alive when he was on this search, and
Mm-hmm.
he missed an opportunity to meet
He
her by a
did.
brief period of time, and
Yeah,
he said,
so
"That
sad.
can't happen.
Right.
I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go through that again."
Yeah, I can't
So,
go through that again. He needed to get that done. Yeah, yeah. So I'm happy for him. I hope everything worked out for both him and his biological mom. I hope that,
yeah,
and again, he said he grew up in a great family. It had nothing to do with that, and she said she grew up, and she was so excited because she goes, "You grew up just the way I wanted you to grow up,
yeah,
you
yeah,
had you had everything that I wanted you to have." And so she felt validated that she had made the right choice, in what she had done. So another two good stories on Long List Family. So
So I can I just ask,
sure,
in
go
the
right ahead.
um, previous years, it's been an hour, and it's now a 2 hour show, and I wondered the first week whether they just did it kind of as a this is the season premiere, so we will make it a little bit longer.
Yeah,
But the second week was 2 hours as
that
well.
is
So
that is interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I don't know why. I mean, we're getting to see a little bit more, but um,
Yeah, that is interesting. It didn't I hadn't even thought about it that way. I just watch it and I hadn't even thought about that they changed the hours on it. So yeah, I wonder if it'll continue that way the rest of the season,
yeah,
or
yeah,
if this
we'll
is
see.
just
But
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
I suspect since the second week was 2 hours, that it is now a two
maybe.
hour show.
Yeah,
But
maybe
yeah,
it is. Perhaps it is. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I appreciate your insights on both shows, and we will be back with day 7 of Relative Race next
okay,
time, and another episode of Long Lost Family. So we'll see you next time on
great
Gen
to be here.
Friends.
Thanks very
Thank you
much.
so much, Mary, for being here. Alrighty,
Okay,
bye
bye.
everybody.